Cities are spaces with a great range of people. There are many different types of cities, where people with different needs and opportunities live. But what's it like to live in Brazilian cities? And what does the right to the city mean? When we talk about decent housing, quality education, good leisure and cultural spaces, urban transportation working well, we're talking about the right to the city, which also involves the right to participate and the collective power to transform the city, making it fairer and truly democratic. But the full exercise of our right to the city is prevented by very serious problems which affect people unequally. And urban youth, what's the story there? For young people, living in the city may present a horizon of possibilities, but also great challenges, particularly when we talk about Black youth living in the peripheries. Racism, sexism, LGBT phobia, inequality, and urban violence weigh heavily on young people, who are also excluded from the city's participation arenas. To be young and to live in urban peripheries also means having a first-hand experience of a huge contradiction, both the absence and the presence of the state. A lack of quality education, leisure options, income generation opportunities, decent housing. In other words, the state does not promote the necessary public policies to guarantee young people's rights. On the other hand, the state is heavily present in daily police violence against Black youth, in the persecution of cultural manifestations, criminalization, imprisonment, and alarming murder rates, often in the name of the war on drugs. Not to mention the activity of militias and factions, which also limit the right to freely come and go through the city. Can you imagine all of this in the midst of a pandemic? With the pandemic, all inequalities have been exacerbated. The precarious state of homes and the lack of water and sanitation create more barriers for young people in the peripheries, hampering protection against infection. And without full access to internet and equipment, remote learning becomes a heavy task, impossible in some cases, blocking the right to quality education. Political and cultural activities run by young people, often in public spaces, have also been affected by the pandemic and the consequent isolation measures. These problems can be confronted through urban public policies that prioritize young people in all their diversity. Policies constructed from listening and through young people's effective participation in decisions about the city. Recognizing young people's numerous and creative practices in grassroots territories is fundamental to guaranteeing the right to the city, since they have the potential to transform city spaces and relationships. Speaking of which, do you know the youth collective of the homeless movement of Bahia, the MSTB? Since 2003, the MSTB has defended the right to housing, demanding quality public services, denouncing police violence and racism, and constructing grassroots power. And young people from the MSTB have played an important role in these actions. They have run communications activities and political training, taken their demands to public demonstrations, contributed to the movement's strategies, and actively participated in daily life in the squatter settlements. All of this with loads of art, theater, dance, poetry, and music. These activities did not stop with the pandemic. Young people participated in the campaign, "The Worst Virus is Indifference to Life," which collected donations to combat family, food, and sanitary insecurity, supported the dissemination of health protection information, and participated in important collective mobilizations against evictions and removals. And it didn't stop there. Over this period, young people also dedicated themselves to intense political training in settlements through arts education. Initiatives such as these are happening in peripheries around Brazil. This is young people in action for the right to the city. The city is an arena for rights.